Huzzah! We have made it to the Disney Renaissance. People give Ariel flack for her age and for her choice to give up her voice for love, but let's see the big picture here. Ariel is a fully formed protagonist. Unlike her four predecessors, she is a princess with good and bad qualities, fatal flaws with serious consequences, and gifts that make her stand out. And for this, she should be celebrated. Where's this chick from? Yes, kids, I know that Hans Christian Andersen wrote the fairy tale, but the film gives us white sandy beaches, a Jamaican crab, and French visual cues. How do I reconcile the Danish source material with Caribbean and French influence? Why, by placing Ariel in the Danish West Indies, known today as the US Virgin Islands. After a brief period of French takeover, Denmark owned a colony in the Caribbean for about a century and a half. While her puffy sleeves are a product of the 80s, she's really a 90s girl. An 1890s girl, that is. Our Little Mermaid was swimming around in the Danish West Indies before the turn of the century. Ariel's kingdom. In Ariel's time, the Danish West Indies are home to 41,000 people and are a major source of trade and the free port of St. Thomas. Their main exports are cotton and sugar because, you guessed it, the main backbone of the economy is slavery. Slavery is abolished in Denmark in 1848, but the lives of the freed slaves don't improve. Increased regulations keep them basically enslaved on the same plantations, but they relieve the plantation owners of the obligation to feed them. They revolt 30 years later in response to enduringly poor conditions and burn down the city of Frederiksted. But even though the plantation owners insist that the economy will fail without slave labor, they're wrong. The economy's already failing because the land is totally exhausted of its resources and European beet sugar is edging out cane sugar in the competition. Beset by revolts, cholera, and yellow fever, the Danish West Indies are in a state of crisis, and America spies an opportunity to expand its territory post-Civil War. Why not? This is where I'm inserting Ariel. Ariel as Princess Governor General. I'm imagining Prince Eric as one of the sons of the Danish king tasked with protecting the islands as the Governor General. Maybe not the son and heir of Denmark, but a younger brother who's guarded by Grimsby. This might account for why no one seems to be particularly worried about forging a royal alliance through Eric's marriage, and everyone wants to see him
happily settle down with the right girl.
How lucky for Eric, then, that the right girl is a princess and the daughter of the King of the Seas. What can the Little Mermaid do to improve the situation of her colony? We go to the scale. Diplomacy. Of all the princesses so far, Ariel has the biggest, bestest, and most dependable ally, King Triton. Ariel is clearly Triton's favorite daughter, likely because she reminds him of his late wife, and he bears no malice towards her choice of husband by the end of the film. Triton has all the wealth and force of Atlantica at his disposal, and you can bet that he would come to Ariel's aid at any time. I mean, heck, he was going to become a polyp for life just to save her. Foreign nations need never attack if they fear Triton's wrath. And trade could actually be redirected to the Danish West Indies from countries looking to incur his good favor. 20 out of 20. Optics. My idea of how Ariel would be perceived by her public is drawn almost entirely from The Little Mermaid too. She's likely to have gained favor with the birth of her daughter, Princess Melody, since she's the only princess to canonically provide her kingdom with an heir. However, to protect said heir, Ariel constructs a giant wall around her castle and maybe parts of her colony to keep Melody from falling into Morgana's clutches. I think the current political climate is a good enough explanation for how her citizens would take that. Even if Ariel only built the wall around her castle, it still doesn't look great because of the societal upheaval. I mean, how well do you think that PR statement's gonna go? I have to build a wall to protect my daughter from a sea witch. Great, all my daughters died of cholera. Can't relate to this. 2 out of 10. Economics. Okay, so steamer ships and the telegraph are making it easier for European countries to go to different Caribbean islands to get their sugar if they don't already just produce it themselves. There's a substantial deficit in the Danish West Indies, and the available workforce is either going to different Caribbean islands to work, or they're going to Panama to work on the Panama Canal. So the good news is, like Snow White, Ariel can cover the deficit. She might have inherited a significant dowry of jewels, pearls, and sunken treasure upon her marriage to Eric, or maybe she just asks Daddy to give her some money. Problem is, Ariel isn't just paying a debt. Snow White's people had their own enterprises they could return to after the debt was paid, but Ariel's people can't keep harvesting the sugar because the Europeans don't want it and the land is too exhausted. They need a new industry. Something that will appease the plantation owners, but also bring better paying work to the freed slaves who want to make their own destinies. I kept trying to think of an innovative way for Ariel to use the ocean in business, and I couldn't really think of any way for her peasants to, use it, but I did come up with this. What if Ariel commodifies her father? Hear me out. Triton is someone that sailors know about and fear to some degree.
King Triton must be in a friendly type mood.
King Triton?
Why, ruler of the Mer people, lad. Thought every good sailor knew about him.
What if the new export of the Danish West Indies was safety? Continue trade with the Danish West Indies instead of other Caribbean islands translates into the promise of safety at sea from the magical Sea King himself. To put it kindly, it's insurance. But really, it's more of a threat. Fire stuff or my dad will sink your ships! 15 out of 20. Influence. Ariel is a born rebel. She'll make you listen to her, and if you won't, she will go do what she wants anyway. Heck, she broke a bunch of criminals out of jail and became a fugitive just out of a passion for the arts. A lot of chutzpah that one. Furthermore, Eric is gaga for Ariel, even after 13 years of marriage. I'm sure he would let her advise him in political proceedings as Governor General, especially since she's a born royal with some experience or exposure to underwater political proceedings. It helps that Denmark underwent a massive feminist movement in 1870, but that's another tale. 10 out of 10. Conflict management. What remains is this. Ariel's people are falling behind in industry, there's racial injustice, there's diseases flying around everywhere, and America wants to buy the colony. That's 4 little problems for 40 points, so each one gets 10 points. So, industry. Even if Ariel commodifies Titan, her people still need a new industry now that the land is useless. Could Ariel fix this? I mean, there's a lot of fun things she could try and introduce, like tourism, sunken treasure diving, increased fishing. So I'll give her 10 points for that. But I won't give her any points for racial injustice because I'm just gonna be honest, I don't think Ariel could handle it. She'd have contributed to the continued system that marginalizes black people and alienated them with her castle wall. So no, I don't think she's gonna be able to fix that one. Nor do I give her any points for illnesses because I actually don't know Ariel's experience with that. Do mermaids get colds? Do they have infirmaries? Finally, the United States. Every territory becomes ours eventually, but I do think Ariel would have the power to stave off the inevitable sale. The only question is, should she? Honestly, it doesn't matter what Ariel and Eric decide about the sale of the islands because by 1914, conditions in the colony have never been worse, and selling them to America doesn't make them better for several decades. Full conflict management, 10 out of 40. Bringing Ariel to 57 out of 100. She passes! It's good! It's good! It's not great, it's good. Though Ariel could direct trade back to the colonies, she can't fix racism, and she can't fix dead soil that won't grow anything. Here's what she's looking at. If she stays, then she'll watch the island slowly fall into chaos from starvation, poverty, and infighting. But if she sells the islands to the US, she can get on a boat with her fam and sail to Denmark while the islands collapse into chaos due to starvation, poverty, and infighting. I guess life really was the bubbles under the sea. Leave your comments below, and be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.